Greetings, everybody. This is Clear Blue Radiance, and I'm your host, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. Today is Thursday, August the 25th, 2022, and today's topic is if worry is constant, unconscious prayer producing negative experiences, then to focus on your true heart's desires attracts positive experiences. So before I get into that, I just wanted to say I am Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the host and the originator of this podcast, Clear Blue Radiance, being broadcasted right here on Resident Essentials YouTube channel. And I've been a spiritual counselor for well over 45 plus years. I enjoy helping people such as yourself gain greater clarity in your own life from moment to moment, as well as discover or redefine your purpose in life. And many times our purpose does change according to our level of spiritual maturation and also the direction that we're heading in. Sometimes we're on one path for a while, for many years, and then we get this inkling, we get this upload from our higher self to, hey, it's time to delve into this particular direction, this particular path, and to begin to unfold on a greater level. So I'm here today to share this particular insight with you. I hope you get something from it. Again, today's date is August 25th, and I'll be on for about 30 minutes. Okay, so what I want to share with you about this presentation is that we all have been experiencing different levels of grief, sadness, moodiness, anger, you name it. Separation. We've gone through this pandemic for the past 2 years or so, and many of us had to be indoors. Many people had those feelings where they got tired of being cooped up. Hey, people got tired of being cooped up in their homes, not only with their spouses, their mates, their siblings, but their children. And the only ones that had free reign were the fur children. Okay, they were going and coming out that little doggy door patch so they can get some fresh air. So we've gone through this experience, right? Many times, people have been in families where there are addictions going on. And those addictions impact those family members. People have gone through abusive households where the abusiveness affects everybody in that household. And so when there's such an event or experience of that nature that's going on, often we do find ourselves in a state of worry and anxiety, worry and anxiety, and constantly worrying about things that, to some extent, some that we can control, right? But there's a whole lot that we may not be able to control or change, all right? So we kind of have to ride the waves, so to speak. And through constant worry, what happens is we don't realize that unconsciously, through all of that worry, all of those emotions, negative feelings, and negative thoughts, starts to produce a buildup inside of ourselves. And what that usually means is that we begin to experience some of these things repeatedly in our lives. So we become overwhelmed. We have found ourselves doing nothing more than repeating those thoughts. Think for something just as simple as paying a bill, paying your mortgage, paying your rent, and you have very little money coming in. And you feel like you're living from paycheck to paycheck, right? So if you're not, even if you're on a budget and you're maintaining that budget, you still can't do certain things. And so you find yourself living day by day. And in that process of living day by day, you find yourself being worried all the time. Now, I'm in a human form just like you are. I am a spiritual being, metaphysical being, infinite being, just like you are. I am a divine conscious soul, just like you are. And in this physical realm, I have gone through experiences where I've like drenched in worry. And so by doing so, we find ourselves recreating more of the same low vibrational experiences. because we're putting that out as seeds, energetic seeds into the atmosphere, into the astral belt, into the universe. And if you study the science about the subconscious mind, we also consider the subconscious mind as a mini version of the infinite universe. Back in ancient Egypt, right, the people known as Kemetic people, we're not just saying Egyptians, but further back, right? And those people understood Hermetic laws. They had seven Hermetic principles, and they understood that those principles governed their existence on what is called Earth in their region. And one of the things is all life is energy, and the universe is mental, because, and you're plugged into that, you're a part of that. Excuse me. So you see yourself experiencing things over and over again, low vibrations. And often we don't know where these low vibrations and how these thoughts that are the same kind of thoughts and feelings and emotions, how do they come into play? How do they truly affect our lives? Well, the universal mind speaks or understands simplicity and directness. Think of the universe as a huge galactic tape recorder or digital recorder, virtual recorder. So, everybody on the planet who's going through some level of difficulty is impregnating the universe with low vibratory thoughts and feelings. When we plant those low vibratory thoughts and feelings back into our subconscious mind, that part of ourselves is not paying attention to what feels, excuse me, ooh, dust in the air. Excuse me for a minute. That subconscious part of ourselves, sub means lower or beneath the conscious awareness. So there's no filter in there that's telling you or deciding for you what is negative or positive. It's only able to capture all of those thoughts and feelings it's being fed. The great infinite universe, multiverse, is your subconscious mind on a grand scale. It's only looking at the simplistic picture, images, sights, sounds, colors, rays passing through it. And when that happens, we often see ourselves have these repetitive things going on. So let's say you're worrying about, again, paying your mortgage, paying your rent, can't, excuse me, can't pay certain bills. And what you find yourself doing is worrying about that you can't pay them. And what is the universe hearing? The universe is hearing from you, I can't. Now, you might say, well, isn't it listening to the fact that I can't pay the bills? Yes, it hears that because that's you echoing through the universe. But what you're placing along with it is how you feel, the emotional content, the emotional basis of your thoughts and your words. Often we have to strive to get to the core. Like, why are we doing that? Getting into the core, the base, the premise, the fundamental thing that's at the root of all of this negative experiences. And what we find there with all these thoughts and memories of failures embedded into these images is a heaviness, a sadness, a feeling of disappointment. These things, when we are feeling it at that low level on a continuous basis called worry, it becomes like a magnet and it draws more of the same back into our lives through us. And what we're striving to do during this experience is open ourselves up. Now, in the beginning of your world, of your thoughts, you find yourself having difficulty opening up, keeping the mind open, keeping your heart open, keeping your hands open to receive. To receive what? A higher vibrational energy, a higher, more positive thought and feeling. We're trying to break the mold of habitual thinking. I believe it was Deepak Chopra, excuse me, Deepak Chopra said that constant worry is actually a form of negative prayer. That's what he said. Let me go to my notes here to make sure I'm kind of paraphrasing that. Yes, he said something to that effect, that when you are constantly worrying about something all the time, you're building up the energy field and you're building it up to expect it to happen again. We've heard those cliches, waiting for the other shoe to drop. We feel like the mind, which could be like our parachute, isn't, because the cord is stuck. We can't seem to get out of these old thought patterns, which become a program, a routine that we expect if we keep repeating the routine because we don't see anything beyond. We don't have a vision, we don't have a dream. We only expect more negativity. And that's true in that sense because you are laying that out to the universe. You're telling the universe, give me more. Universe is like a big janitor, big vacuum cleaner, a leaf blower, just going to blow everything that's negative back in your direction. Why? Because you keep calling for it. So we are thinking, how can we remind ourselves to turn these feelings and these thoughts around once we get to the core, the initial moment that these habitual thoughts and feelings occurred? So they become like an index, right? And as an index, we can pull them out of the mind like a file, a thought, and we begin to see the root. The initial energy points become the indexes to root out like weeds. They happen by someone telling us we are not good enough. We're not able to become a better version of ourselves. We're trapped in this particular sea of consciousness. So, what can we do? Because over the years, we have developed low self esteem. We begin to believe in those old thought patterns. I must be that because my ex told me, my mom and dad told me, because they couldn't see a better version, a better vision of me. My school teachers told me, the counselor, the principal told me, my neighbors, my coworkers, my boss. We keep going through this loop. And the core thing, remedy, is we must spend time diligently working on ourselves. You can't love yourself until you find out your true worth to yourself. You can't love yourself. You can try to love yourself, you can work at loving yourself, but if you don't understand who you are, then all those efforts really begin to slide away. When we work on ourselves, we are rebuilding our self esteem. Now we can work on loving ourselves because we know we have some attributes, we have some positive traits that we can remind ourselves of. We can begin to turn a deficit into a positive resource. All those old habits and thoughts that you had about yourself that were negative, you begin to drop them out of your conscious state of thinking, out of your subconscious mind. You begin to drop them out of your subconscious mind. And you're able to step into what? The unconscious side and clean house. You no longer see yourself as a negative, you see yourself as a plus, or you see yourself well balanced. That's what you want to do. You realize that you need to face yourself in the mirror and you need to tell yourself convincingly how much you love yourself. You must convince yourself that you are overflowing with positive traits, skills, talents, gifts, and that you spend time working at it. You spend the necessary time to be industrious, like a farmer, until work on the soil of your consciousness. You build a new you. That's what you're doing. Building a new you. And when you do that, you start finding your value. As you begin to find your value, you begin to get very clear about your values. In fact, you don't let other people dictate who you are supposed to be. You don't let other people tell you who you are supposed to be. In fact, in this podcast, I'm not trying to tell you who you are. What I'm saying here is find out who you are. You know, in the metaphysical science and art called numerology, there's something in there that I call the key. And the key is your individual name, separate from the family surname. Hopefully, your first name is not worn by your mother nor your father, nor anybody else. No other sibling, no other relatives, cousins, uncles, grandparents. Because that individual key name, your first name, tells us a whole lot about yourself, tells us a lot about your capabilities, tells us who you are and who you are not, or sometimes who you fall backwards to become. you have to discover who you are. And you have to be clear about it. Because that first name, in fact, the first two letters or three letters, are keys to a new you. So as we begin to save ourselves, we can begin to write a new story about a new life, a better version of ourselves. We become accountable and responsible for correcting ourselves. We have to watch the words we feed ourselves, watch how we treat ourselves. We do not always need to seek others to validate us. In other words, if there's something that you want to do, granted, you'll have some friends, close friends, who might support you, but you must know yourself and how to support yourself. You have to make sure that your personal self esteem has risen, not use self centeredness and egotistical nature, but you have to see yourself in a better state of mind, in a better emotional wellness state of being, of living. You must see that as you get clear with that, you start having a purpose or a calling because you're in tune with the soul of who you are, your higher self. You have made some connection and you start listening to your higher self, the more spiritual, bright being that's with you all the time. You live in it and it lives in you. When you are creating a better version of yourself, you start speaking differently about yourself. This is where affirmations come in. An affirmation is something, a statement, a clause that is true, and you know it's true. That's how you start building yourself up, building your self esteem. You might also, and definitely for sure, incorporate meditation where you're listening, you're opening yourself up, the mind and the heart, to just listen to the current of positive energy coming and going. You're learning to speak positive words, not only in the form of affirmations, but prayers, affirmative prayer treatments, and even decrees. Because when you can do that, you are building up an energy. So, here's something that will help you do that. I want you to create a daily journal. And every day, from week to week, write down 1 to 3 positive traits about yourself. Now, here is a key in writing these positive traits. As you write each one, I want you to speak them out loud and then repeat them to yourself quietly. So you're going to do each one 10 times, just like that. So let's just say you have a positive thought about yourself. It could be something as simple as this: Each and every day, every moment of my life, I'm a loving person and I love others unconditionally. You're writing that out slowly so you can see the words flow on the paper. Then you repeat it out loud once. Then you say it mentally and quietly to yourself. Then you write it again and say it out loud again. Repeat what you just wrote and then say it mentally, quietly to yourself. The whole key of this exercise is not to race through it, but to begin to build up positive thoughts and feelings and images through the power of the written word and spoken word in your own life. Now, when you are speaking them out loud and quietly reading them, you are also inhale them deeply into your heart and mind. So you would take whatever that phrase was that I said, and after you repeated it mentally, you start putting the rhythm of your breathing into it. And as you inhale those words that you wrote and that you spoke and that you repeated quietly, you begin to feel the energy in the words. You must allow these positive gems to become the tools of faith in yourself and not just a set of beliefs. When you see them as tools of faith, faith is what you know to be true. Why? Because you've experienced it before, numerous times. That's why you have faith in what you are saying. The late Reverend Ike, the late Dr. Reverend Frederick Iken Rakota, who had a spiritualist church in New York City on West 175th Street and Broadway, which is still there. He would say or teach like this every Sunday. In order to be, do, and have, which means to be whatever you desire, do whatever you want, and have whatever your heart desires, you must first decide. You have to first decide what it is that you want to be, do, and have. He would say after that, you have to see it in the theater of your mind, which means you have to visualize it. Go into your mind like a meditation and begin to visualize what you want to be, do, and have. Create a new image of yourself. Create a new environment around yourself. He would say then, expect and know that the universe, which is the God in you, delivers it to you, for you and God are one in the same being, which means that phrase, I am that I am, or I am that which I say that I am. So, can you imagine the power within yourself to repeat a word or a phrase that can instantaneously, at some point, lift you up? Why? Because you're working on changing who you are by changing your thought patterns, changing your behavioral responses, through thoughts and feelings and words and actions and deeds. You are finding a way to have greater clarity in your life so that you can uncover and discover a better and greater purpose of being in life. That's what you're striving to do. That's why you become to understand that constantly worrying about something all the time. My parents used to say what their parents told them. You didn't even get to the bridge to cross over and get to the other side, and you're worried. Constantly worrying about something that you haven't thought out completely or that you may not have experienced. You don't know if you're going to get through it or not because through constant worry, you're constantly pounding negative thoughts into your own mind, negative feelings. This is why it is entitled, If Worry is Constant Unconscious. See, unconscious, not just subconscious, unconscious, unaware prayer that you are creating, producing negative experiences. And you're planting those seeds through worry and emotions into the atmosphere, making yourself magnetic to experience more of the negative experiences and negative outcomes. But then, if you focus on your true heart's desires, you will attract positive opportunities, positive people, positive experiences, and positive outcomes. So, you want to turn all writings into a meditation where you create and embrace your heart's desires, and you will attract only positives into your life. So, let's just take a moment. It doesn't matter if you got a mortgage or a bill to be paid and you know the date is coming up and you're stressing. What I want you to focus in on is that you got a good rapport with the bill collector. You got a good rapport because perhaps if you look at the history of how you pay things, you may have paid them late, but you paid them nonetheless. So I want you to go in that subconscious region in the back of your mind and look for positives. Positive results from the past, positive experiences, positive people, positive actions, positive words. And expect those positive things to replicate themselves in your life, which means at a higher frequency, higher vibration. Take that with you today. Be in silence, sit in silence with positive outcomes in your mind, positive words, positive thoughts, positive feelings, and watch your life begin to change for the better. This is Clear Blue Radiance. I'm your host, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. If you happen to be in town this Saturday, I'll be there from 12 noon to 1 p.m. teaching my Creative Path Work meditation series. And it's open to everyone, especially if you're a beginner with meditation. I use some guided meditation, but I explain to you how it actually works and how you can benefit, and how, when you are sitting in meditation by yourself, how you can build your energy up. You know, usually every Monday we have Michelle Vidal on. Sometimes it comes on Tuesdays, and she leaves beautiful, I'll say, metaphysical eggs for your nourishment. So you want to join Resident Essentials, the group on Facebook, so you could be in touch and see what we all are doing, all the practitioners there. Keep in mind that every second Sunday, we have a psychic fair at Resident Essentials from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is free. You just pay for whatever the services are there. Many of us are there. She's there, I'm there, other people are there. What we want you to do is learn with an open mind and an open heart so you can raise your level of consciousness spiritually and metaphysically for yourself. So, I look forward to seeing you at Resident Essentials one day on a Saturday at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. or on a second Sunday from 12 to 5. The address is 3107 Eubank Boulevard Northeast, just north of the intersection of Eubank and Candelaria Boulevard Northeast in the Scottsdale Shopping Village Plaza. And you look for suite number 34. That's a green and black trim building, and you enter through the black door with the jalousie window. There's other classes that go on there throughout the week. Just ask for Michelle Vidal, the owner, and she will let you know all the things that are going on. All right, I'm going to sign off right now. My grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Next Thursday, I look forward to sharing another presentation for Clear Blue Radiance at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Be well. Have a splendid weekend, everybody.